our our country's blowing up. And I don't know, we all have a different perspective. And here on American Perspective with Patriot Mom 007, we want to bring it to you the way we see it. And maybe it'll spark something different than the way you've heard it before. I don't know. That's kind of our hope, I think. And the more people that shout things out, I think the better. And I think if you do it for the right reasons, it really benefits everyone. So thanks for joining us today on Friday, February 21st. And this is American Perspective with Patriot Mom 007. So we have a lot today in store. We just talked to candidate in CD7, Jorge Rivas, in the last hour. You can check that out on my Rumble channel at Patriot_Mom 007, Instagram, or no, not Instagram, Facebook and YouTube as well. If you missed any episodes, they will be there on Fridays. And I'm hoping to bring you at least 2 amazing guests each week. And with busy schedules, it might be only one, but we will be here. So keep tuning in. If you like this, please share also our links. And we just really appreciate you taking the time to support and hear what we have to say. And we're going to have another great guest, Lezley Shepherd. She is a friend of mine. She taught me a lot about what was happening in Arizona. I didn't know. 27 years I've lived here. And, if you don't know, you don't know. And it really takes people who have the time and energy and capabilities, because it's not simple stuff always, to, interact with them and network with them so that we who don't have any idea what was going on can find out. Because I always say you got to get educated, to vote and to hire the people that you want running our country. And that is one way to do it, is meet people in your community. Whether or not you all get along or like each other, find the people who know what's going on. Just listen to that part. It's the most important part these days, because if you're unaware, then, you can't make right decisions that are going to benefit you and the family and your neighbors and the country. So we're going to learn from her today how to get involved a little bit more. And first, we had something that happened in Arizona the other day. I saw this. And it's happening more and more at our capitals around the country. This was at the Arizona State Capitol. Sounds like there were some protesters. They were protesting Trump and Elon Musk. And I'm going to bring this up with you guys because, let's see, there's a little narrative behind this. So before Robert brings it up, it's people protesting Trump administration policies. They gathered outside the Arizona State Senate on Monday, but security did bar them from entering the building and causing probably mayhem. And that viral moment, everybody's dying to get. So the movement, it's 50501 movement protest, No Kings on President's Day. It's the latest in a series of demonstrations. And it came 2 weeks after a similar nationwide event on February 5th that drew people, dozens from, I guess, around the cities. So both protests denounced Trump and billionaire advisor Elon Musk, who, by the way, is working for free. Just so you know, he's not taking a dime for all the hard work he's doing on our behalf. And the leader of Trump's new Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, is an outside government organization designed to slash federal spending. So they didn't really get anywhere, but they did have these protests in Orlando, DC, Florida, Washington, and Seattle, of course. They love this kind of stuff, right? They don't work for a living, so they just walk around the streets protesting all day. On somebody's paying for that. I wonder who that is. So this is happening. And the rallies followed a series of Trump executive orders and came just days after layoffs across federal agencies as part of an effort to reduce government workforce. People are getting laid off. It's true. Unfortunate as that may be, we need to get down to the basics, save some money for Americans, and restructure things properly and with some fiscal common sense. So that's what they're doing. And luckily, they're giving people 9 months worth of severance. So nobody's really out of a job yet, by the way. I know they say they are, but they've got a lot of money coming for what's happening. I think that's pretty generous of our president. So let's roll that, Robert, and see what happened down there at the Capitol. So as you can see, they gather in the middle of the day. Nobody's working for a living. They travel around. This is their job. They get paid to do this in city after city on TV for all to see. The activism, the paid activism. I don't know if that counts as activism or just an easy gig. I don't know, for money. Somebody is controlling that money. Wonder who is hiring them. So that's what happened. But law enforcement, who we appreciate on the side of law and order, they stopped it from happening in a very peaceful, polite way, just protecting the building probably and the people that were in it. We don't need this disruption happening when we're trying to run a state and trying to make things better for all the Arizonans here. And so these are going to be things we're going to be watching when I do a second segment on Friday. I think we'll gear it toward Arizona. So much is happening in our state always. It's never going to stop. We're a pretty important state. And with the border and all the other things happening that we'll bring you, I think we'll do something about Arizona on that Friday, and we'll play catch up because I don't always know what happens locally because I'm always watching national things. So I don't know what you guys do, but that's what I do. A lot of C-SPAN, a lot of C-SPAN 1 and 2. I always mention that. I highly recommend you watch it. It's amazing channels happening in real time. There's no opinions like this show or other shows. There's no spin, there's no edits. It's just on the floor of the Senate and the Congress, and you can see in real time how our government works or does not, depending on the day. But you can hear firsthand what they say, and it's not a polished speech. It's really what they're talking about, the bills that they're trying to pass or not pass on our behalf. So highly recommend those. And with that, we're going to talk with Lezley Shepherd. So she's been waiting very, very patiently. I think she's going to come back. I hope she can hear me because I don't see her physically sitting in her little studio right now, but I'm hoping any moment she will be back. And Lezley and I met a few years ago. I did not know anything about the Board of Supervisors. They pretty much run your state, apparently, at least hold the purse strings most of the time for billions and bazillions of dollars. And they spend it like wildfire because, not always accountability going on in these agencies, as we have come to find out in the last 2 weeks with DOJ being on target over all the expenditures and waste and fraud and abuse that they are discovering have existed pervasively throughout our government for years and years and years. And so, like that scenario, in your states, you have this happening as well at the Board of Supervisors, among other offices. And you need to go down to these hearings. They happen every other week here. Check your local.gov sites and find out the calendar. It's all posted, and you can sometimes zoom in. We have that capability, but we're going to talk about why nobody can use it here very effectively in Arizona anyway, at least Maricopa County. And there's things you can learn by going down to the meetings. You can also give your opinion if they're feeling magnanimous and generous toward the electorate body. Sometimes they don't always let you have your opinion in the public forum. We're going to talk about that too. That's interesting to learn that they can just shut that off whenever they feel like it. And it's people like Lezley, whether I say some people don't agree with her, we have found out some people do agree with her. Doesn't really matter. She just bringing the facts of the process. So, party aside, characteristics aside, LD, legislative districts aside, whatever's going on in your little, community cliques, whatever, any issues, put that aside and just get the information for you and maybe pass it on to neighbors and friends who don't have the information, just to help educate everybody. Because if we just do that, we don't do opinions, everybody can maybe get on board and it'll make more sense if we all have, all the information. So Lezley, that was a long way to say thanks for being on today with me. I'm so glad to have you. And I think you got to unmute. Let's see that. It's okay. It happens all the time. This is just how it goes.
Okay, sorry about that.
That's no problem. We're just looking at your lovely smile in the meantime. No problem at all. So thanks for being here today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And so we have not been in touch as much as we were last year when I was learning more about the Board of Supervisors. I was traveling, I had America Fest, and people can check out some of those videos and interviews. They'll be up soon. They're not all really up, but at Patriot_Mom007 on my YouTube channel and Rumble, find me there. And hopefully catch up with what happened here in Phoenix. And then I was at the inauguration in January, last minute, didn't know I was going. And then boom, it's already February. It's almost end of February in the first quarter of the year 2025. They are flying by. And here we are catching up. So you are involved with the Board of Supervisors in Maricopa County in the respect that you are a citizen who pays taxes and you want to know what's going on. So you decided you're going to find out and you're going to tell us how you do that and how everybody can do that if they want to be civically engaged and understand where their money's going. And then also we want to talk about today, because you keep up on really everything. You're really working with our officials, elected, newly elected in the BOS, and our new Maricopa County Sheriff, Jerry Sheridan, who was elected. And he's actually part of my legislative district. He is, I think he's going to be a great fit for Arizona and for law and order, most of all, which is what's important in a sheriff, right? Law and orders, that should be the top part of the interview. Like, do you believe in law and order? Will you fulfill those duties? Yes, and yes, hired. So why don't you describe a little bit how you got involved in the whole BOS process to begin with, and then let's talk first about some of the rules you and I have discussed lately, what they've been doing, what they can do with the stroke of their pen at midnight before the next meeting, and how you're fighting back and teaching others to get involved and also fight back for their rights to be upheld. So go ahead with that.
Well, thank you very much. And thank you for inviting me to come on right now. What got me going is I was tired of seeing what was going on with the children. What really got me going is when my children, my boys, were serving in the Marines, and then they force them to get a vaccine so that they can be that little small percentage that's willing to stand up for their country. And now you're going to turn them into, I think one of the worst things that we have is we have political parties. That's where you said some people don't like her and some people do. And I'm not really, I do believe, obviously, if I'm going to lean toward a party, it's absolutely going to be the Republican Party. But I do not want any misunderstandings that I think that the Republican Party is the good party, because we have a lot of corruption happening underneath strong, more majority leadership of Republicans, at least here in Maricopa County. Maricopa County, we have 4 Republicans on the Board of Supervisors. We have 1 Democrat.
That's right. And it's true. It's important that people understand, we always talk party. So if you're conservative, you're going to be Republican by their moniker, how they describe it. And these are just labels, but it's really the actions. Everybody can say there's something, people are switching, they're jumping ship. They're Republican one day, they're Democrat one day, then they're independents and they move to Republican side. So it's very ever changing, and it's not about the label, it's about the person and what we see them doing or fulfilling in their promises to us. And that's really what we should be focusing on, is what they're doing to us, for us, or against us. And we should need to recognize those 3 things. So with that, continue on with what they're doing to us.
Yeah. So I first started going down there because we just wanted to, there was a situation going on politically back in 2023. I kind of got an understanding that this was like an important group. Obviously went down there and protested, or should I say spoke before the Board of Supervisors in November of 2022, and just saw how dismissive they were of the people. It didn't matter if you showed up there. I mean, you could be showing up there with a cookie jar and they have crumbs all over their face and they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. So that's pretty much what I saw happening with the elections. And then decided just to really, let me go and find out what's going on down there with these people that make the bills. So it actually progressed into going down to the Board of Supervisors more consistently. I know that everybody thinks that the legislature is the one that has all the power, but in a corrupt government that doesn't make the Constitution their priority, the biggest and the most dangerous group of people is the Board of Supervisors. And what do I mean by that? I don't mean like they have like fangs and they look bad. No, they only take 5 votes. 5 votes. They don't need a governor to sign one thing they approve.
Right.
The governor for nothing.
And these are things that I don't think people understand. Like, everybody thinks like the state just runs itself, but there's people involved in the way that they're interacting with their colleagues, whether newly elected, previously elected, been around forever elected. They build relationships within these, processes that we've created within our states and counties. And if you don't know how it's operating or how they're operating, you don't really know or understand what can be done. Like, let's say with the money, let's talk about that, because I've learned when I went to these meetings, several of them last year, and spoke up on some issues, which we'll talk about too, your right to speak.
I saw that. You did a good job.
Well, listen, I'd never done that before. And, we can talk on Zoom or whatnot in person. But to stand at the podium in a government setting, it's a little daunting if you're not used to it. And it takes a little courage, and a lot of people are starting to do it. And I highly encourage you to learn to do it and get comfortable with it. But nonetheless, I learned this money, millions of dollars every single day, twice a month, 100 agenda items. So let's just say let's just say it's $10 million. I don't know, just say 10 million every other week, 20 million a month that they get to just willy-nilly spend at the like five. Yes. Good. We're going now. The next million, where are we spending the next? And they do this twice a month. And you guys don't realize, I didn't, they own all the money in your state, and they're just spending it on these crazy projects. So you got involved, you heard about this. Thank you for teaching me about it. And then you decided, what do we do to make it more fair? Because they're eroding our rights by the week, actually, is what they were doing.
Well, I didn't really even realize how badly they were eroding our rights until we went down there just for the most basic of things. Like one time we went down there to serve a remonstrance affidavit, which is a very strong correction using the Constitution and law, which that has then since been filed in common law case. And then since then, we read a quo warranto to the Board of Supervisors in which they kicked out Daniel Wood while he was trying to read the quo warranto, because Clint Hickman did not want to hear what he had to say. So
they're not big fans of free speech then?
No. And I started noticing they were starting to make it to where that when they started seeing more people come down there, they thought, we're going to have to make more rules on these people. So first they didn't let us bring down water. And then somebody kept sneaking it in like 5 different times. And then they realized it was foolish and they should just let it go. Because what are they going to do? Yeah. You got county workers in there with their mugs and everything else, and we can't have a bottle of water. It was crazy. But, it was stuff like that started helping you realize how corrupt it was and how oppressive it was. And then when they started making it harder and making rules to say, okay, from now on, you can only speak if you show up within the first 10 minutes of the meeting beginning, if you want to speak at the very end of the meeting.
Right. Which, how uncomfortable can they make it so nobody wants to ever come down or participate again? Right. This is what they do. Tactics.
Yeah. And one of the key things that they made a big deal about at the last meeting is, we have 4.2 million people that we're serving and protecting. And it's like, well, let's see, you're one of the only counties. There's all of the Arizona counties allow people to call in from home to give their public comment. There's only 2 that don't let you. And guess which is one of them?
I don't know, one of the biggest counties in America.
4.2 million people are told, if you can't drive all the way to our building where we have no handicap parking for well over 2 blocks away.
Yep. Where's the ADA? Where's the ADA?
Yeah. If you can't set aside your entire day, then you can't come and speak at our meeting, but you can watch.
That's right. I know you can't talk. Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. And if it's 115 out and you can't have water, so sorry. Hope you don't faint before you get to talk.
But that's the part that I want to impress upon everybody. We did get that water. That's important identifying. People go, it's just water. We're made up of water. They were taking one of the main one of the things we need.
We live in a desert.
We live in a desert. We're in this meeting, but we got to go walk out into that. And so it's just crazy. So it's really cool because you see a lot of just people, salt of the earth people saying, you know what, we need to put more pressure on this group of individuals. Because again, people didn't realize that, when they replaced a House rep, it was the Board of Supervisors who appointed it. They did the interviewing. They're the one who chose. They get, the list of who the candidates are. And then, the same thing for the sheriff when they replaced Sheriff Penzone.
Right.
They're the ones who replaced him, and then they got this astronomical budget. And then when it comes to the elections, that's a whole other can of worms. There's no such thing as constitution.
No, there is not. I'm just dropping in the chat on Rumble at Patriot_Mom007. If you guys are live, thank you for joining us today. And I added the elected officials' emails in there for District 1 through 5, and then also the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors link to their website. You can find all their information, calendars, and whatnot on that. And you're going to want to check that out for your own state if you're not listening from Arizona. So you win the water. People think, oh, that's such a foolish fight. It's just a bottle of water, but you're there for sometimes 4 hours,
It's your
you know,
property. What
and
people
you,
are failing to
right,
understand is it's not that it's water. They said hand over your property at the
right,
door. They've got us
right,
conditioned to think that our personal property, which takes due process to take from us, is
right,
very easily to take if you want to be in the privileged area of coming in. See, there's
right.
a flip-flop. The servants have now become the royalty in their mind, and the people have become where they're more peasant thinking. And they
That's right.
forgot, it's kind of like your child one day coming home and saying, Mom, give me the keys. Let me see your bank account. I'll let you know when I'll be home. It doesn't work.
Right. That's right. That's right. We do need to always keep in mind, we hired them, we elected them, but with that comes their salary that we pay. They are our employees. We are their supervisors, and we should have high expectations. If you have a company in America, you know that you expect a lot of your employees. They make or break you, and these people make or break our lives. They hold it in
Yep.
the palm of their hands, and we need to always remember that if they have the purse strings, they run you, and we need to know what they're doing, what their intentions are. So you have to educate yourself so you know who you're hiring next, 2 years and 26, who you're bringing into office, because they're working for us, and we better make sure
They're
we pick the
supposed
right
to be.
ones, because we don't really have oversight. By the way, we don't get to have an employee, meeting to do a review. We don't get to do that. They don't allow it once they're in office. So the choice at the beginning is the most important part.
Yeah.
Education makes that possible. So yeah, let's keep talking, Lezley. So then, we get this, you get the water, which is great. They're kind of going a little with the flow. I noticed when I came in, because things were kind of changing when I came in and started, listening in the gallery, and they gave you a little bit, but then they also took
A
space
lot.
away. They
They
put you
took a lot.
back, right? They
Yeah.
built a pony wall,
Yeah.
so you
They
couldn't be on the floor
Yeah,
anymore,
yeah. And
right?
they also took away, instead of you before, when they started realizing more people were coming down there, Clint Hickman's on record saying, for years we came down here and nobody came down here. And now we got stack of slips. That's when they started implementing restrictions on us, because they realized the public was starting to realize, if we don't hold you accountable, shame on us.
Right.
That is our job. That's
Yeah,
our
people
job.
were getting engaged and they were getting scared,
Yeah,
because when people pay attention, like Doge and Elon Musk
yeah,
and his genius wizards at MIT and at 19 to 22 years old, I mean, God bless those kids for taking a salary cut to find these irregularities in our budget, like in the BOS. If you knew what they were spending money on, and why we have homeless problems, and we're not cleaning that up with all the billions we're spending on ridiculous projects, you would be appalled if you have a stake in the community now or ever want to in your life, or your kids do. And it's shocking that we know it's happening, and hopefully they'll blow through the states. And 26 is an important year. Governorships are coming up. We need to make sure that somebody cares about our money and not their pocketbook.
mhm.
So pay attention now so we can make this better in 26. So they start taking the rights away, slowly push you back in the room. Now you're up here on the podium. You're way far away from in their little throne area. But you kept working under the just under the process. You made your calls, you did a lot of emails, you talked with staff there. They were more receptive because they started getting to know you and seeing that you were just really trying to just do positive stuff, right? And teach others how to, vie for their rights. And then we have this change in shift. We have one sheriff out, Jerry Sheridan's in, and he's been very, I think, helpful. He's very
Yeah,
accessible, or wouldn't you agree? Tell
yeah.
us how that looked when he came in, and what you hope to accomplish with him being our new Maricopa County Sheriff in regards to our rights in a setting like the BOS here,
Sure.
public meetings they have.
Well, luckily, I had an opportunity over the past like year and a half to kind of get to know him. So it's like I got to know him before he became the sheriff. So now with him as the sheriff, based on what I've known about him, I have a lot of confidence in him. A bunch of us met with him on the 3rd, from different parts, from Wickenburg, out in Maricopa, various people. We met here centrally, and we had a great time with him. He really listened. I want to emphasize how important that was. He listened. That's the thing we're talking about, is we're not getting our First Amendment rights being heard. And oh, you're on mute, just so you know. So
Oopsie.
there you go. That's okay. And so I am actually very hopeful, and he does see that there is a problem with the Constitution not being followed, and he's willing to take the steps that are needed. He's not wanting to cause just like a total upset, but in a way he's willing to do what needs to be done to make sure the Constitution is going to be the priority. Because if you don't have your First Amendment right, if people don't understand, if they can silence your voice inside the most important room that runs your elections, they sign the yay, 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 yay for all these different agenda items. In the last agenda item, I just want to let you know, Noel, it was 400,000 mil 400 million. Sorry. Yeah. 400 million.
Wait,
Was for
400.
one agenda item.
Wait, 400 million or 4
400
million?
million.
400
And when
million.
challenged about it, there wasn't a whole, you get this, I don't know. They almost think like the word bond or federal money means it's magical. It's in the back of our pocket.
Well, it's all magical. They just make it
Yeah.
up as they go along. So,
And there was some agenda items that were pulled under consent agenda. Now they've tried this new thing where they take example, they've narrowed it down to where there was only 80 something items on the last one, but they put 59 of them up under consent agenda, which means you don't get to talk about these.
they just ram them all through together as
Think
one.
about that.
Yep.
So
They
we're
just put it-
pursuing
yeah,
that
combine
with
it.
them downtown and working on some things, because that's not acceptable,
Right,
and
right.
we
And people have to
keep pushing
understand
back.
they're ramming things through so nobody can itemize how much they're spending on
Yep.
frivolous projects that most of us would never sign off on. And the only way to do that is lump everything together,
That's it.
take the people's rights away. So now they can only speak for, what is it? Is it 2 minutes? What do you guys get now? What's the
Only 2 minutes,
only
and they
2
narrowed
minutes?
it down that if you have 100 and something agenda items, you're only allowed to speak on 2.
Right. So per person, 2 items per public comment session, which they make you wait till the end of
Yep.
their process, their meeting before they allow the public to speak, making you wait half a day of work,
Yep.
because most of us have jobs in
Yep.
some respect, whether it be
Some
to
of
your
us rearrange
kids.
it, and
Yeah.
that is one of the things we call, I
For
call it my
4
duty
hours.
day. It's my
Yeah.
duty day.
It is your duty
3
because
times
yes,
last year, they did not let us public comment. They made us
that's
wait
right.
all that time, and then they canceled it.
They just stopped the
That's
meeting and
how
walked
bad
off.
this is. So the
Yeah.
pressure that people are putting them right now is so important, just to say, give the basic rights that our other counties are given, our
That's
own
right.
sister counties. It's so shameful.
Ex-
4.2 million people snubbed out of having a voice in that room because they refused to turn the webinar on, which is paid for. And we see them use it often whenever they want to use it, or one of their friends. So it's really, it's pretty shocking. You have 10 minutes after the meeting begins to turn in your speaker slip, even if you're only speaking on public comments. I can't emphasize enough how bad that is. It says in our Arizona Constitution, it literally says, Arizona Constitution, Article 2, Section 1, a frequent reoccurrence to fundamental principles is essential to the security of individual rights and the perpetuity of free government. Now, listen, that constitutional law lets you know right there, the fact that they don't want to hear us lets us know they are taking away our individual rights.
Right.
And free government, excuse me, when you act like I owe you something for coming to the meetings, and then you're going to, make it harder for people who can't come here, people who work, people who have disabilities, people who just had a surgery, but they have a concern about their country. How can you shut them down like that when our other sister counties? I made a call from my bed to Tucson. They called me up because I was in the queue and I got to speak. I shared about the common law case that we have going on right now, which is doing, They haven't been able to kick it out of courts. I share that with you just because it's being done. So it shows that it's more about oppressiveness. It isn't about it. They're incapable. They're
That's right.
unwilling.
That's right. And
Indifference
people,
is
I
dangerous.
want to say going down there is what allows you to realize these things.
Yes.
Otherwise, you just hear your little news clip at 6:30 at night on local news saying, oh, this got passed or this happened or, you know, 2 billion allocated for the park,
Yeah.
that nobody goes to in Arizona all year long. So $2 billion park seems a little excessive these
Yeah.
days, with, all anyway. So,
Yeah.
but you don't know if you don't go
Yeah.
and you don't listen and you don't take the
Yeah.
time. And it's unfortunate that they force us to jump through hoops just to know what's
Yeah.
happening in our own counties. But that's the process now. So it's important to get involved also, because to change the process, you have to change the people. And to
That's
change
right.
the people, you have to understand what they're doing. And to understand what they're doing, you have to take time out of your busy days. And it's
Yeah.
kind of tedious and hard to get to. But it's necessity if we want Arizona to stay nice and good for our families, right? I think
Yes.
that's the bottom line we're trying to
Yeah.
do. We have our kids and our families and parents, and we live here too, and it's a beautiful state, and we don't want it to turn into not a beautiful state in ways that we can't tolerate. Because I'm not
Yeah.
moving. I moved here. I don't want to move. I
Yeah.
love Arizona, right? That's why we're here. So we've got to get involved. And it's people like Lezley, who can help you do that, even just to encourage you to go. She'll send you an email. She puts so much information together. She'll help you learn to speak at the podium if you're worried. She can help, guide you what to say and go
We
tell
have
you
little
what
scripts. We have little
agenda.
tiny
Yeah.
scripts. You
So it
can
makes it
just
so
go up and read
easy,
them to get it on record.
just so you can have your voice heard if it's not your comfort spot. And so she's willing to do that. So I encourage everybody to be willing to meet her halfway and go do it too. So I want everybody to listen. And if you haven't heard yet, you can find her at Facebook. It's at Patriot Lezley, Lezley. You can see it on the screen down there. It's with a Z. At Instagram, it is at Lezley Shepherd, Shepherd, and at Truth at Lezley Freedom of Speech. So I encourage you to find her, and she posts all kinds of information. And so, if it's not Lezley in Arizona, you need to find out. Go to your bordersupervisors.gov and find out when the meetings are. Look at the calendar, see when you can go. See if they have Zoom meetings, because other counties will allow that. Just because
Mm-hmm.
we don't do it and we're not compliance doesn't mean everybody follows Maricopa County, right?
Mm-hmm.
So find out where you need to plug into, find out the resources, including human ones who can help guide you, and then find some time to get involved however you can. But I know that I want to talk real quick too before we go about Jerry again, because I know you mentioned he's going to be a speaker maybe at an upcoming, I think we did that off camera, right? An upcoming,
Actually, he just was in one on the 25th of January. He was very supportive of one we had. And it was regarding human trafficking awareness. We're going to have another event coming up. Again, that's why I got involved in this. It was about kids. We're just trying
right.
to give them a future, you know.
That's right. That's
You
right.
know,
That's what everybody's trying to do.
everything can look real pretty. Everything can look real polished, but you don't have your rights.
That's right. If
It's
you don't have
it's
your
just
rights,
a
you don't have
cage. It's
anything.
just a pretty cage.
That's right. And yeah, we're just living under their thumb and their guidelines and what they tell us we can or can't do. And the more we secede, or cede that, sorry, the more they put us in the box. So we have to
Yes,
stop at a certain point, not violently, not with anarchy or chaos or burning down the
right.
streets. Certainly that is not a good tactic. We would never ask for violence. That's wrong. Law and order is really the way to go if you think about it.
Yeah.
And we need to find
Noel,
legal ways, yeah,
I
to
wanted
get
to
involved.
say, and for people who can't make it down there, because again, that's the problem.
Right.
It's hard to make it down there. You can send an email. That's why her putting that
That's right.
email in there is key, because you can say, give me the right to be heard down there. Make the webinar available to me.
Right. And that's I put
Don't
that in the
discriminate
chat.
against me.
All the districts are there. Their board of supervisors link is
Yes.
there. You can find Lezley there too. So Jerry, so he was supportive of that event. I know we have another event we're going to talk about at the end of the show that he's going to be at, a couple events in Phoenix. But you're hopeful now, I think.
Yeah.
Tell us about that as an Arizonan, if you want to get involved, what the hope looks like, so they don't think it's just futile to start coming down and doing this, and they don't want to waste their time. So tell us
It's
the
the
hope for
most
this.
perfect time to be doing it. Let's face it, right now, they're showing so much corruption in US aid alone. And USAID branches out to every single state there is. There
Right.
is so much that right now we're able to hold them more accountable about these agenda items and this money and challenge it. Because if they just act like face value, well, that's what everyone else was thinking before they found out all these millions and billions of dollars being sent to something as stupid as, what is it, condoms for animals? I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, there's so many ridiculous reasons. I mean, Sesame
Right.
Street over in another, what are we doing? Seriously, we have North Carolinians are literally still stuck in a situation. We have our own American citizens that are in look at what's going on in our own neighboring state. And we're sitting here getting our self all worked up about, oh, well, we're not going to be able to help these other places. You know what? You know who's screaming the most are probably the people who are getting the money laundering coming their way. That's who's screaming.
I think that's probably true. I think we'll find out more as they keep revealing more and more. And for those of us who believe in, that law and order thing again, that pesky rule that we should be following for the benefit, we're going to find out, and you really should um, make sure that you're paying attention, whether it's Democrat or Republican
Yep,
or independent. Who knows who it's going to be? It doesn't matter the party, it
that's
matters
right.
the person. And so just pay attention, because some people will report this and some people will report that. You won't get all the lists or all the information. So I always encourage you to find it on your own. It's all up the Google, right? Go to page 4, 5, and 6. Don't 1, 2, and 3 has ridiculous information that may or may not be true. So skip the first 2 pages for sure, at least maybe the 3. But yeah, so you want to get involved. And so Lezley, with Jerry coming in from Maricopa County Sheriff, you know, would you agree that he really has it in his, like, desire, let's say, to do what's right for Arizonans? Is that what you're finding, in
I
your
do.
opinion, from working
I
with
do.
him? Yeah.
I do. And I don't hand that out easily, especially to sheriffs.
Yeah,
Because
you're
if
kind of tough
you,
on people, not gonna
yeah,
lie.
I don't
Yeah,
hand that out easy. If
it's
you do
okay.
not make the Constitution your standard, that is your only framework for being in government.
Right.
So, no, I have a lot of confidence in Jerry.
Yeah, so you're right. I mean, it's hard to trust people in this arena. And when you're engaged with people, that's why I encourage everybody to try to go to things as often as possible when they can in the evenings, to meet their candidates or the school board members or the elected officials like the sheriff. Try to go, because when you start engaging with them personally,
Mm-hmm.
you get to decide what kind of person they are. And we can tell you, and I can have people who know them, who work with them, give opinions, but it's really always best just to make your own informed decision. And to do that, it does take a little bit of effort and time on your part, like we all are trying to do in our own ways. So this is one way to do that. And it can make a big impact in your community. Maybe you just get involved a little bit more, and then you're the, precinct committeeman, you're the captain of your precinct. And, before you know it, I don't know, you're helping craft legislation in your state, like some of our winners, like Kaylee Kosak does. And
Yep.
I mean, and I think Lezley, you're working on some stuff. I know some other people who are this year that'll be coming in, and you just work your way into finding the part of the process that you can make a difference with. And it's volunteer mostly. If you don't want it to be, then pursue that. But let's just not let it go by the wayside and hope that it works in the end when we're 80 and don't have the strength to get up and do anything about it,
Yeah.
right? That's
Yeah.
where I stand on this. It's like, do it or lose it. And that seems where we're at in America.
And I just want to mention also, when you send something down, for those of you who are going to email, include your friends, include your patriot friends or people that you want to inspire to see this is how you hold your government accountable. This is how
That's
we do
right.
it. And plus, something tends to happen when they realize they're not the only ones you sent it to, because they can go, oh, I never got that. Well, all these other people did. So not sure
Right.
why that didn't happen.
And that's important. You're right. When they see the copies to a large group, I mean, just do it to your clubs, your card clubs, your book clubs. If you like to share information, and if those people, if you we don't want you to offend anybody. But if you think it would benefit them and they're open to receiving information, send it along so that, they don't have to do all the heavy lifting and work because they don't always know where to look. If you don't have people like Lezley or you don't volunteer in your districts, you just don't really know what's happening. And our news, unfortunately, doesn't always tell us, certainly not the small fine detail process stuff where it's happening, right? And that's where the important part is underneath where nobody sees what they're doing. And then we find out later that we have a bridge in somewhere, Tempe or somewhere that, I don't know, it costs $2 million. It's like a small bridge. Guy who did that? Gallego, I think, did that. I have to look it up, but something along those lines. I think he helped put that through. And yeah, I mean, these things, it's our money. Let's spend it where we should. Like, I don't know, our homeless vets who all
Yes.
need housing and mental health help and addiction help. And if we're not getting them and our kids off the streets, then nobody's doing their jobs. No matter if they're going to work every single day and spending every
That's
single
right.
last dollar of our
Not their
money,
civic duty.
they're
Yeah,
not doing their jobs.
that's
And
right.
and they're there to help us. And that includes our most vulnerable, our seniors, our kids, and our vets who gave their
Mhm.
lives to our country
That's right.
and who we owe always a debt of gratitude for. Always. Don't ever think we don't. And you got to be proud of where you're from and who you are. And everybody in all the other countries, they love their countries too. It's not just here, but those people who are fighting for us and sacrificing their own life and limbs, they should not be living on the street of anywhere in the world, actually. So I could go on about that. I find that deplorable and abhorrent.
It makes me think about your earlier segment with all that protesting. It's like, well, I saw a lot of those people, and I'm not down on our people coming in if it's lawful, but
Right.
especially when you can go and find a facility that you can have your food and your protection, and we got vets on the street, there is
Right.
something seriously wrong.
Seriously wrong. And
Our
it's up to our
citizens come first.
legislators. Some of our legislators in Arizona have served. So maybe that's something we can take up in 2025. I know people do work on it, from time to time, and it's always in the forefront, but maybe let's just put a focus on it and try to really put some money towards that and maybe get the BOS to move some things towards the people who need it the most, right? That could be a
Right.
goal. I don't know, but just something to think about for
Just give
sure.
us a voice in that room and we'll go from
Right.
there.
Look into it. Let's look into it for sure. And then Lezley, anything else? We're going to have you back. You will keep us advised how to get involved, how to go to speak, whether it's in person, there's a right to speak system. We can go over that one day. And then how to have your voice heard as a citizen of your county and your state, your community. So we're going to redo this with other topics. There's way too much to cover today, but you guys find Lezley Shepherd online. I did put her links in the chat. And I just want to say thanks so much for spending time and being patient with me today. And, let's just be more in touch in 25.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. You look great.
Thanks, Lezley. So do you. So have a great day. And we'll see her again soon. There's never a dull moment excuse me, in Arizona. So that is going to always continue, and it's happening in your county and your community too. And it is Friday, so that was a heavy topic. We're talking about your dollars being misspent right here in Maricopa County, happening all the time. Please get involved with the Board of Supervisors and find those links also in the chat. Find out how you can learn what is happening. So we can stop it together, because it takes all the voices at the next vote to make that happen. And maybe the governorship might be one we want to look at and make a change there, because that's a problem. And see less. And so we're going to finish up. It's Friday. We'll be here every Friday for one, possibly two guests a week. That will be dependent on schedules. But we would like to share with you each Friday Carolyn Levitt, our wonderful and very competent, intelligent new press secretary with the White House. She brings us our MAGA Minute on Instagram. If you're not there or haven't seen it, it's a great wrap up to the week, and you can hear everything that's happening in your country that's on your behalf from President Trump. It's only been 30 days yesterday, and this is week 3 of the wrap up that they put together. So Robert's going to throw that down, and then we'll be
to the MAGA Minute. It's been a huge week here at the White House, and let's go over the wins President Trump delivered on behalf of you, the American people. On immigration, illegal migrant encounters between the ports of entry are down nearly 87%. On the economy, President Trump laid out a plan to establish a sovereign wealth fund to better invest the more than $5 trillion in assets held by the United States. He also proposed tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico and China, and those tariffs were swiftly paused after our allies agreed to step up and address these issues. We are streamlining USAID into the State Department. President Trump signed a historic executive order to ban men in women's sport. Lastly, President Trump is already making our military strong again. Army recruitment in the month of December, with the anticipation of President Trump's return to the Oval Office, hit a 15-year high. We'll see you for next week's MAGA Minute. Welcome to the MAGA Minute. It's been a huge...
So that is a great 3-week wrap up. That somebody's been working. I mean, I know it seemed like nobody was working for the last 4 years, so we all got used to that as a thing, and nobody could do anything about it because nobody knew who was running anything, or who was or wasn't working, or who was or wasn't in the White House, or who was or wasn't dealing, in the bathrooms or wherever they do that stuff in the White House under the last administration. But now they're working. Carolyn Levitt brings it to us like a couple times a week in the press room. She's opened it up to all the new press. She's expanded the reach of people finding out what's happening in our government. That was great. And she also brings it to us without a 1,000-page binder with 100 tabs that you can't really sort out in the moment, because she just tabs it in her head and she refers to it in actual moments notice. It's quite something to behold. She's only 27. She's a mom, so it's not as if she's just sitting around every day just doing the press secretary job. So she's actually doing a whole nother job full-time as well with her family. And yet, look what they're accomplishing, and look what she can bring us and keep us up to date. So keep an eye out for the MAGA Minute every Friday, certainly here on American Perspective with Patriot Mom007, but also on Instagram, Carolyn Levitt at the White House. So find that and follow her. She's going to have a lot of good information. We want you to get it all. If we miss it, certainly get it there. All the sources are great sources. Love if you would like this source, share it, please. And you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Truth Parlor, YouTube, Rumble at Patriot_Mom007, or on X at PMom007. And we really just want to thank you for those of you who could join us today for our first 2 lives on American Perspective. We appreciate that support because it's a busy Friday for everybody. And I do want to bring one more flyer up sharing the Freedom Festival. This is going on in downtown Phoenix at the Wesley Bolin Memorial Plaza on March 1st, Saturday. It's going to be from 10 to 4. Gun Owners of America is hosting it this year. They have taken the torch from Riders USA, a local organization that works to restore sovereignty in America. And Gun Owners of America have made it bigger and better. It's going to be family friendly. It is in support of the Second Amendment. So if you want to learn more about that, if you do support it, you don't support it, you might want to support it. It's a great opportunity to go down and talk to a lot of leaders in this area of the world that deals in the certifications and the training, in the hardware, and you can really talk to a lot of people and learn a lot. Plus, there'll be vendors this year. They're going to have a kid zone. They've got food trucks, amazing speakers, both community leaders, maybe some of our elected officials. There are some on website you can actually go to, gunownersofamericagoa.com, I think it is. Let's see, and going a little bigger, she does not have there, but I think it is goa.com. I should know this off the top of my head. Sorry, guys. I will put it back in the description and check them out, because also that same day at the 4 o'clock hour, Riders USA actually is going to have another area of Wesley Bolin. There is a round center section. It's a little spiral. We will have up some printed banners of victims who have fallen to their death by illegal aliens in Arizona over the years, starting way back in 1923, all the way through 2023. We don't have an updated list yet, but we'll try to get that put together soon. But they have the pictures on of U.S. Arizonan citizens and first responders both, who lost their lives to somebody who shouldn't have been here. And we see that more and more. And it's been happening, Laken Riley and Rachel Morin, tragic. All of that is tragic. Everybody is tragic, those deaths, but it's been happening for many years here in Arizona and across the nation. And we don't want to forget the ones that happened to that long ago, even though it has been a while. So we do want to have that time of remembrance for them. And Riders USA will host that portion of the day beginning at 4 o'clock. Jerry Sheridan, who we just mentioned, our new Maricopa County Sheriff, he is going to be a confirmed speaker during the Daytime Freedom Festival event. And he'll be on stage with Gun Owners of America to talk about, I'm sure, what he intends to help bring to Arizona in the form of law and order. And then also, hopefully we can coordinate the time, but he has agreed to come over and speak in that second round area where we'll have the printed banners with the victims' photographs. So hopefully that'll work out timing, but he's going to be there. Come down and meet your elected officials, if for no other reason, and get some information, get some great food, maybe see some community members or meet some new ones. That's how we have to network, is by, getting out there. And if you don't want to do a candidate, meet and greet, or you don't want to go to a town hall, do something fun daytime. I think it's going to be 80 degrees. It's going to be gorgeous. Bring the family, kids zone. There'll be entertainment. So there'll be something for the kids. It's a beautiful park if you haven't been to Wesley Bolin Plaza. And we'll have that information we'll put that up too in the next couple of days. So look for that. ridersusa.net, check them out. And I guess, I think, we're a little short, but, we're close. So we're going to fine tune that, as we will everything else, for your benefit, hopefully. But I really just want to appreciate everyone coming back for the second hour today with Lezley Shepherd. Find people who know more than you and let them help you understand what you don't know or haven't heard about. We can make our place in our world, our community, and our states, then our nation, a better place to live if we work together on doing that. And you've got to be educated and you got to be involved and get your resources. So I hope you guys will follow Patriot_Mom007 on Instagram, Facebook, Parler, YouTube, and Rumble, or on X at PMom007. I just want to thank you all who did stop in and watched for a little bit today. And I appreciate you getting my American perspective. This is Patriot Mom007, and we hope to see you back here on Friday. Thanks also to Robert at JData Live. He's amazing.